What are my predictions for the consulting industry in 2023? Hi everyone, my name is Johannes Niari. I'm a project manager in strategy consulting, and in this channel I want to help you to learn the necessary skills that you need in your first years in consulting. And today I want to talk about the 6 prediction that I have for the consulting industry in 2023. And let's start directly with prediction number 1. And my first prediction is that the economic downturn will hit very hard. So we have already seen that the past year was in economic terms very, very difficult. So in the US, for example, we had 2 consecutive quarters with a negative GDP. There are huge discussions if we are heading towards a recession or not, but there is one thing for sure, and this is that there will be an economic downturn. And if we take a look at some data from the IMF economic outlook, it becomes pretty clear. We don't know how hard this downturn will be. We don't know if we are going to a recession or not, because there are also many different definitions about that. But one thing is for sure, there will be an economic downturn, and we have to prepare for that. And what this basically means for the consulting industry is that many companies will struggle, that there will be a negative sentiment in the entire market, and of course this will impact the consulting industry as well. And this leads me to prediction number 2, and this prediction is that consulting revenues will decline. I made a video about the question if the consulting industry is better off if there is a growth phase, because then the companies have the money to invest into consultancies, or if there is an economic downturn, because then companies actually need the help. I made a video about that. You can look it up in the info box above. And the answer to that question is the following. In both cases, if we have an upswing, but also if we have a downturn, the consulting industry can benefit. The only thing that is really bad for the consulting industry is if there is some insecurity in the market. And we saw that basically in 2020. I was part of that. So we had a lot of projects going on, and suddenly when the stock market crash came, when all the lockdowns came in 2020, all the companies, there was a kind of shock, and there was a lot of insecurity in the market. And the first thing that companies actually do in such situations is that they hold their cash very tight. And the first thing that they usually do is that they cut all of the external costs, because these are the cost positions that you can easily reduce without a lot of effort. And this is actually what happened in 2020. So this was the cause for the big decline in the revenues that we saw in 2020. Nevertheless, after that, there were a lot of issues in terms of supply chain, also in terms of sales programs, stuff like that. And then once the direction was clear, once everyone knew, okay, we have huge problems here, then companies made budget available, and then they also and again hired consultancies, and this led to a very good recovery in the consulting market. If we take a look at some historic situations where we had maybe similar situations as we experience it now, then we see the following. So basically what you see here is that throughout the years, in all the big financial crises, like in the dot-com bubble, like in the subprime bubble 2008, and also in the COVID crash, we saw declining revenues in the consulting industry. So this chart shows the German consulting market, but we can assume that this scenario was similar in the global market as well. And this is the reason why I would expect that, because of the insecurity that we will see probably next year, we have many more factors like upcoming elections, like the Ukraine war, like maybe conflicts with China, again inflation, maybe a stagflation, again the economic downturn. So there will be a lot of insecurity, and I can imagine that we run into a similar situation that we had maybe in 2020, where companies keep their cash very tight, and this might lead to declining revenues in the consulting industry. So let's talk about prediction number 3, and this prediction is that transformation will be a focus topic in the consulting industry. So you see, in every phase, in every economic phase, we have certain trend topics. And in the past 5 years, before COVID, we had a lot of topics like digital transformation, like sustainability, also like venturing and growth projects, because these were the kind of projects that the companies requested a lot. The situation was the following: we had an economic boom for a couple of years. There was a lot of money out there. There was a lot of optimism out there, and companies wanted to see, okay, how can we transform, or how can we respond to digital transformation? How can we develop new business models in terms of venturing? How can we invest our money that we have? And also, how we become more digital? How can we invest in digital tools and so on? And then, of course, in 2020, 21, the situation completely changed. There, the big topic was supply chain optimization, because on a global space, we had huge supply chain issues, because obviously due to all the lockdowns, we had a lot of disruptions. And this was the big topic for the past 2 years. And I would suggest, or I would assume, that in the next few years, we will see probably transformation, also restructurings as the main topic, because if we have this economic downturn, then this might lead to decreasing revenues. Companies will have too high cost positions that are too high, so cost cutting programs, business model transformation to generate new revenues, and profitability programs. This will probably become very popular, and this you can summarize under the headline transformation or even restructuring. And my guess is that this will be one of the main topics in the next year. Then let's jump to prediction number 4, and this is that the hiring in the consulting industry will slow down, or even for a short period stop. And the reason for that, again, is pretty similar to what we saw in 2020. When the lockdowns happened, when this kind of insecurity was in the market, many consulting industries slowed down the hiring process or even stopped hiring. So I know many huge firms and many well-known firms who had a hiring freeze for a couple of weeks or even a couple of months. And consulting firms do that because, the largest cost position, of course, for consulting firms is the personal cost. And obviously, if revenue decreases, this is, the most critical cost position. So what companies do is that they typically stop hiring in order to avoid, cost increase, or even to force a cost reduction, because since you have a lot of fluctuation in the consulting market, you can expect if you don't hire new personnel, that the cost will go down, because many companies are leaving the firm anyhow. And I'm not sure about that. This always depends very highly on how hard the economic downturn will be and how hard this will hit the consulting industry. But if it will hit the consulting industry, you have to expect there might phases where the hiring slows down, or where there is even a hiring freeze. Prediction number 5 is the following: that there will be an increasing dynamic in the consulting market. So what do I mean by that? If the consulting revenue is decreasing, of course, this will cause many companies, maybe in the consulting industry, to even go bankrupt. But at least, there might be some consolidation, because the big players, they use the chance to buy smaller consultancies, because obviously due to decreasing revenues, there is some selling pressure. And I expect some more consolidation going on in the next year. Also, the split of Ernst & Young, the advisory and the audit business, I think this will again be a huge topic. And maybe we will see another big 4 firm that announces that kind of split. So I expect in the next few years, and also in the next year, that there will be a lot of dynamic in the consulting market as well. And then prediction number 6, the last prediction, is that building skills becomes key. And the reason for that is that I expect that competition in the consulting market and for consulting jobs will become more intense in the next year. In the past 2 years, we had a very short boom after the COVID crash, there was a lot, the Fed printed a lot of money, there was a lot of money in the market, and the consulting industry was booming again. So people and consulting firms hired a lot of stuff. And I think, this will change, as I said in the prediction before, and this will increase the competition for the consulting jobs. And I think the best way to prepare for that is to prepare for your consulting career, to invest in yourself, to build the skills that if you, for example, have an internship, that you can really convince the firm that you are the right person, or if you're already in a consulting firm where there is maybe a strong up or out principle, that you are the one having these skills that you need in order to convince, and in order to get this promotion, to stay in a job, and to make a great career. Because believe me, I really expect the next years to be very, very tough, and then having a secure and a good job like working in the consulting industry obviously is a great place to be. So these are my prediction for this year, for 2023. Of course, I might be wrong. This is only based on the information that I have right now. We will see at the end of this year. Of course, I'm interested what your predictions for this year are. If you want to learn consulting skills, if you want to invest for yourself, then check out the link below. I have a free masterclass where you can learn the essential consulting skills that you need for your internship or for your first years in consulting. So check this out if you're interested. If you want to see more videos about consulting, then please subscribe to this channel and please leave a thumb up. And with that being said, hope you have a very successful day. Hope I talk to you soon. Goodbye, Johannes.